Not care about what the neighbors can say. We keep it haunting Tuesday every day. As we go the yana, like we go the love and understand each other. I beg don't be mad if your friend won't come to just essay. Come just with essay. As we go the yana, like we go the love and understand each other.
Hi guys, welcome to another interesting episode of Gist with Esse. If you're just joining us, welcome and sorry for starting a bit late. And if you're joining us on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so before the end of today's show. And if you're on Facebook, don't forget what we do, share so your friends and family can be a part of today's show. Okay, today's show promises to be very interesting. I know a lot of people are waiting to ask questions, so get all your questions ready so that once our guest comes on, she can start to treat your questions immediately. Okay, guys? All right, so I'm going to bring on our guest now. But before I bring her on, her name is Adesuwa Onyenokwe. She's a veteran journalist with over 29 years in broadcast journalism. She's the publisher and editor-in-chief of Today's Woman magazine. She's a certified life coach and a communications expert who is passionate about women doing their utmost to uplift society. She's going to be talking to us about the role of communication in broken relationships. So get all your questions ready, okay? And don't keep it small. Have an open mind, okay? So we're not going to be talking about just relationships between lovers. Any kind of relationship at all that you're having issues with, you're free to ask questions concerning them. I'm going to bring her on now. Hello, good evening, ma'am. And thank you for joining us on this today.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Great.
Okay, so everyone joining us on Facebook or YouTube, please let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. Before we get started, I know a bit about you, but other than what we read in the papers, can you just tell us a bit more about yourself?
Is it okay if I start by asking that you tell me what panya means? I've been curious.
That's actually my father's name. Wow. Yeah. And it means crowned with glory.
Well, I ask because one of my favorite games as a child, you say you want to do something that you haven't seen on any place, was one game that we played. It's what Umbupu call hopscotch, quite hopscotch. Taya, enter, Taya. So, I mean, that's one of my favorite games in the past. I used to love to play out in the field and any energetic game that had us. I think, like most kids, unfortunately, not too many kids have that opportunity now because the digital world has taken over everything. But we used to play a lot of games as kids, and Panya was one of my favorite games.
Wow. Can I tell you a funny story about the name? It's not actually my surname. Okay, so I moved to Lagos when I was really young, and then when I wanted to start secondary school, I wasn't living with my father. My parents were separated, so I went back. My surname was a name that Yoruba people would laugh at. I grew up in Lagos, so I said no, I'm not going to school with that name. So I went back to my dad and said, give me other names, other options that I can pick from. And so he gave me different options, and I picked Paya. Now the other name, before you ask me, is Shakara.
Shakara.
Yes, that's my family name. That's my surname. Yeah. So I just thought, no, the kids in Lagos are gonna have a field day. I'm not going to school with that name. So I opted for Panya then. I didn't know the story behind the game or stuff like that. Maybe I would have changed my mind,
but it's okay. It's a fun game. It's something that keeps people. It probably wasn't originally Panya. What we heard as kids was Panya because it's actually 10. Then when you're going to turn it into the hopscotch, where you have different holes So when we say paya, it means enter the next hole, enter the next square, enter the next square.
Oh,
So some people drew squares and some people drew circles. So there'll be two girls clapping their hands and moving their legs on one side. And then when they say paya, enter. So when I say enter, you jump into the next square. And speed is very important in that game. Anyway,
wow.
memories of childhood.
Anyway, I've grown used to people making fun of it. I just embrace it as a very unique name because it's not a lot of people who bear the name. So
That's right.
it grew on me. Yeah, so before we continue and get into the gist with Auntie Adesuwa, let me just take us on a short break and we'll be back.
Come just with Esse. Not care about what's in the neighbors per se. We keep it hot and juicy every day. As we go the yana, like we go the love and understand each other. I beg don't be mad if your friend won't come and just with Esse. Just with Esse. Come just with Esse. Just with Esse. Come just with Esse. As we go the yana, like we go the love and understand each other. I beg don't be mad if your friend won't come and just with Esse. As we go the yana, like we go the love and understand each other. I beg don't be mad if your friend won't come and just with Esse. Just with Esse. Come just with Esse.
Come
Okay,
gist with
welcome back.
Essay.
Oh yeah, Miss Sage says she's a legend. I have always admired her. Wow. Okay, you have one admirer in your house already.
Thank God.
Wonderful. So yeah, we were talking about, a little about yourself, something we haven't read about in the paper.
That's going to be quite tough to come up with. I've already showed you one of my favorite games. Another thing is the fact that when I was a child, I think I've shared it because I'm a very open person and I work best in conversations. So whatever you ask me, I give you. So for me to think about what I haven't said, probably maybe the most recent thing I did, I just finished my second level of NLP training. So I'm a certified integrative NLP coach. That's new because I finished my classes yesterday. And I mean, it's a new thing. And I have only two kids at home now. All the others are gone. And I have only one child that hasn't graduated. So that's it.
Wow, wow. See, when I tell people you're what I want to be when I grow up, you telling me you just finished NLP gives me hope because that's one of the courses I'm looking
You
to,
need to. Yeah.
study in the nearest future. I've
As a coach.
completed the beginner stage of my life coaching classes. Yes, so
Absolutely.
yeah, I've admired you for a very long time. I know that you're one of the reasons when I was growing up that I saw you on TV and I said to myself, I want to be like her, even before I knew exactly what you were about. And then over the years, I've been following you, and then something else comes up, and I'm like, I want to also do this thing. But the thing is, you've got 6 children.
Mhm. 7
How
actually.
7? Okay, yeah, okay, 7. How do you manage with
Well,
your
you know,
kids
people
and then your career and everything else?
people people will manage. It's your state of mind that determines how well you do in whatever state you are in life. And because it was a choice, those children didn't happen by accident, right? So I knew what I was getting myself into. And I knew that it was important to me. I have always felt family is important, which is why the space within which I operate, everything I've done is within the family space. Because I believe the woman is the most important person in that space. And so when I started to speak to today's woman, was because of that. When I deal with relationships, it's because I know that once the woman is together, everything else is together. And so even in my coaching, I have a niche in helping people build harmony, integrative harmony. And the thing is, in life, there are at least 12 critical areas that we must all feel a sense of. I don't want to use the word achievement. We should set goals for ourselves in all of these areas. Because when we're thinking about balance, there can be a problem. Rather, I'd like to use the word harmony, where you know that whether it's my finances, whether it's my sense of achievement, whether it's my fun and recreation, whether it's my financing, whether it's my relationship, whether it's my marriage, whether it's my career, there are many areas. So if we realize that all of these areas are critical to our ultimate happiness, then we strive to work in these areas and succeed. Having said that, what that means is when I decided that I would be open to life and welcome as many kids as the Lord will give me, because I was praying for something. You know how you make a covenant with God? I knew that three things would happen. One, I would have to struggle a little bit more with my weight because I was having pregnancies. Two, I will have to struggle with managing my time between work and home. And thirdly, I probably would have as much money available to myself because I'll be thinking about many more people. So I knew those things would happen. Where, for example, I may desire my own school fees bill at the end of the day, is certainly much more than anybody else's own. So what did that mean? It meant I had to find ways to work harder to earn the income to make it happen. Now, I knew that there would be a pull between family and work. I loved my job. I was a reporter. And as a reporter, I was working with the Nigerian Television Authority, a civil service organization, which required that I start work at a particular time and end at a particular time, right? Now, for someone who loves their job, I'll put my all in it. Now, we didn't have the kind of facilities that will make us be more efficient. Excuse me. So even if I went out as a reporter to get an assignment done, and I'm done by 9 with my assignment, right? If I didn't get space to edit my report, I would be in the office until I could edit. So, and I wasn't one of those who didn't take their work seriously. I would still finish my work. So it was becoming more difficult to do all of those things. And I told myself, you know what, at the time I left from the Nigerian Television Authority, I was on to my fourth child. So I knew that, I could not spend all of those hours in the office and my kids would be at home with no help. Even though from time, I've always had support. And when I had support, I always imagined that I needed two after my third and fourth child. So that if one nanny goes, another one. So at the time I retired, fortunately I'd done about 13 years and I could retire. After 10 years, I could retire from service. And I was just 35. I said, okay, retire. Think of what you can do in more time and maybe even more money because the money I was earning wasn't worth it. So I made those decisions without any fear because I knew that I would confront those things. So while I was raising my children, I was lucky to have been married to somebody who could afford most of our needs, right? So, but even if, can you imagine if I had kids and I had the kind of money I had, I probably would be doing more different things with my money. So when I found that when I have money, I'm thinking more about school fees or the children's clothes or the children's day, and my own needs take a back seat, I knew it was what I had to do. So even though it was painful sometimes, but it's the outcome that kept me going. It's now that as a coach I have trained that I realized that, it was because I had a clear goal ahead of me and I knew how to get it. That's what made it easy for me to live it. I wasn't blaming anybody for the number of kids I had. I wasn't blaming anybody for the fact that I didn't have as much money as I wanted. I wasn't blaming anybody that I now my own business, I'm struggling, I'm trying to make it work, and I'm balancing. And while I was doing that, when I left work, now I was in charge, I could take my kids anywhere if I wanted to. If I had to go for a meeting, I put them in the car and go ahead. If I had to be in the studio, because I wanted to be an independent producer, the same place that I left, they could stay and be on the side. The difference was now I was more in control of my time. So, and I learned very, very key and virtue, which is the virtue of delayed gratification. The kids will grow, I will grow, my business will grow, and one day all this pain, see it like that to be over. So that kept me upbeat and up tempo throughout. So that's basically it. It's the state of mind that you have and the kind of support that you have around you that helps you build that harmony in all the aspects of your life.
State of mind and support. Okay, I and them says we're getting some feedback. Can you mute one device if possible? Okay, I've got just one device on.
I also have one
Actually,
device
okay,
on.
just one device on. So I don't know why they're getting feedback. Can anyone else
I was telling you the same thing. I was getting feedback, and I don't understand why.
it's
I
completely
could
off
hear
on
it.
my end. I can't hear anything except
Well, these things happen. That's technology.
yeah.
Uh,
Um,
could it be? Let's see.
okay, is
Are
it
you getting
possible
any
to mute
feedback now?
your earphones?
Are you getting any feedback now?
No,
I can still get it. I can still hear it.
you can still get it. Okay, I annoy them. Can you let us know if you're still getting feedback? Is anyone else getting feedback, or you guys can hear us clearly?
The good thing about this though is that you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
I just can't hear you too well. That's why I use the earpiece.
Wow.
It's okay. Mm. And the name is Adesuwa, not Adeswa. There's a difference between
Adesuwa.
Adesuwa and Adeswa. But you got it spelling all right. That's good. I like that because most people don't even bother to come before they do things.
I
It shows a
actually
bit of
schooled in
thoroughness.
Edo State. So yes, I did. Okay, Linda says it's actually much better. Please keep going. Okay,
Okay, so
before
that's
I
it.
forget, I said this one just celebrated his birthday. Actually, exactly 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
That's right.
exactly 2 weeks ago today. Yeah, I remember. So I'm gonna make a toast. And guess what, guys? She clocked 58 years. Can you believe that? 58 years. So here's to another 58 years in good health, love, and happiness.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. I hope you don't mind that my own is Zobo.
It's fine. Okay, so I hope everyone can hear me. I'm just getting a report now that my audio is really low. Yeah, okay. She heard that, so I think we're good. Let's talk about the topic of today, communication. How would you define communication in your own words? And how can we ensure that what you're communicating to people is what they're actually hearing?
Well, I'd say to me, communication is I say something, you hear it, you understand it, and you tell me what you make out of what I have told you.
Okay.
It's a cycle. I say something, you hear it, because hearing is different from absorbing and understanding. Because I can tell you, good morning, and I'm smiling, right? And you frown. And I'm like, so what's going on to me? Because the communication is beyond what I say, is what I hear and what I see. So now if I ask you, so what's going on? You say, what can concern you? Clearly the person is not interested in having a conversation with me. That's feedback. I said, I was only asking after your goodwill. Oh. I says, well, it's been a rough day for me. So that back and forth, hearing what she said, reading her facial responses, what we call nonverbal, I was able to deduce that my good morning, right, didn't sit well with her. And therefore, the onus was on me to get her to understand that I actually did mean her well, or him, whatever I'm saying. So communication is a conversation between two people that goes beyond the words that they say, between two or more people.
Okay, so from what you just said now, I get that. You mean her
Yeah.
So is it possible that it's not that she doesn't know you mean her well, it's just that her own state of mind is not just receptive?
Absolutely.
Maybe because of what she's going through or
Mhm,
however she
mhm,
woke up.
mhm. Absolutely. Which is why the onus is on whoever is communicating, right? To be sure that the message you sent out, right, and the meaning that was elicited from your message is the same thing. So when you say, oh, he doesn't understand me or she doesn't understand me, you've got to find out why. What is it in what I have said? Is it how I said it? Take, for example, when I said, good morning, see me smiling, happy, saying good morning to somebody who probably has problems. Eh? So the person will say, what's wrong with this girl? Maybe she's looking down on me, or maybe she's glorifying my state, or look at her, she's so happy and I'm so sad. You know what I mean? So meanwhile, that might happy, yeah, it's genuine to me, oh, but to her, it could be something else. So I need to understand, I actually did mean you well. Is everything okay? Then she'll come back and say, everything is okay. I'll ask her, but it doesn't look like everything's okay because of the way you are talking. She says, I don't want to talk about it. I keep quiet. But it could elicit her telling you, actually, I don't be offended. I had a very rough night and I woke up this morning. I'm sorry. Or whatever. But it allows you to engage and become one with the person. It's not always easy. But if you have it in your mind that the meaning of your communication, right, the responsibility lies with you, who's saying it or who's doing it.
Okay, great. Would you say that upbringing has a role to play in the way people communicate with each other?
Absolutely. Because we are all a product of nature and nurture. There are certain things that have been wired into us biologically, which make us a particular way. And that biology, depending on where you are, for example, do I know if I was actually born as a fun-loving, happy person? Maybe. But the environment in which I grew allowed me to thrive, where my father, because I came after several boys, so I evolved as somebody who knew that she was valued and loved by everybody around her, my mother, my father, especially for girls, it is the father. If your father affirms you and your father is there, gives you a certain confidence. And he exposed me to books and music, and before when television came. So early on, communication, language was something I was interested in. And it wasn't the type of father I said, okay, you must do this or you must do that. So I was free to decide what I wanted to do. So freedom, you know, that I had to express myself, and the books and the literature that surrounded me all prepared me for what I would. However, because man has a capacity to learn and unlearn things, no matter what environment you can take yourself and put yourself in another environment that needs to nurture that thing that you want to be. Our capacity is endless because our mind and body are the same. We just have to understand.
I'm smiling because you practically just answered my next question. Okay, I was going to
Oh,
ask you, yeah, I was going to ask you, how can a person who grew up in a system, with bad communication or poor communication change so that they can have better relations? Because growing up
mhm.
in my house, I'm from a polygamous home. So I don't think that polygamy has anything to do with it really, but just the home where I grew up, yeah.
Mhm.
If you walk into a room, the living room, and you're all smiles and looking, right away you're under suspicion. Like, okay, what have you done? You must be up to something, some mischief or stuff like that. So you walk into a room where the adults are and you're keeping a straight face. You're boning because you don't want anybody to think, okay, you've done something even when you haven't done anything. So that
Mhm.
became a part of me growing up. So even when I started to interact with people, when I started to meet friends, people would see me and like, why are you always boning? Like, and then people used to think I was a snob and stuff like that. But it took a while for me to realize that look, you need to, because what you're thinking in your mind, in your heart, is different from what you're portraying and what people are seeing, the feedback people are getting off of you. So
Mhm.
even when
Mhm.
I try to say something nice, I guess that most times my tone was wrong or my body language because of what I was used to. I
Okay.
watched a show that you did with Auntie Joke, and she was talking about how growing up, her mother was always smiling, so she
Mhm.
adopted it. And I was
Mhm.
like, what? Nah, not my house. Not the home that I grew up in. So yeah, it's possible that when you get to a stage, you can't change
Mhm.
if you
So,
don't
but I
mind.
also that's also feedback for parents who may be watching this. The first vibes that your children get off you is what determines how they will navigate that space of communication. They see you and their father always at loggerheads. They see you when you want to get something out of their father, you are using a different tone. They see you when he comes home late, you are using a different tone. They learn all of those things from watching you and telling them, shut up, shut up, shut up, don't do this. You're giving them different vibes. For some who internalize, which is the nature that they have, you kill all sense of creativity and freedom of expression in them, and that will affect them all their lives, except they happen to meet people like you or me, coaches who can help them. Yeah, these days, or they meet a nice person who can bring that thing out of them and help them understand that they can change. So it's a feedback for parents. When they say the children will do what they see, they will also do what they hear. Excuse me.
Okay, so is it possible for two people from two different backgrounds to have a healthy relationship in terms of communication? Because I know that a lot of relationships these days, the issues that they have is that they don't understand each other. Words are often misconstrued or intentions, or you understand what I mean. So is it possible for two people from two completely different backgrounds get along,
Any
or
two
you can
people,
fix whatever issues they have through communication? Before you answer that,
any
please,
two
you
people.
guys send in your questions, whatever questions you have about communication between partners. So whether it's partners who are
Mhm.
lovers, or partners, parents and their children, or between siblings, whatever questions you have, please send them in so they can be addressed before the end of the show.
You know, what's happening is I describe communication as the oil or the fluid that oils relationships. And, in fact, I'm having a webinar on the 4th of September that's speaking to that specifically, in collaboration with some other coaches. Because you know how the parts of a machine, of an engine, it's metal. And when they go against each other, it can be grating, noisy, annoying. Once you put oil inside, right, it moves free. To that extent, no matter how tough the parts are, once you drop oil, grease in it, the thing will be moving easily. What that means is that any two people, no matter what, no matter how different they are, they can communicate. Where, remember, I said communication is when you get the meaning I intended out of my relationship, out of my communication to you. So the meaning may not sit well with you. You may not like it, but this is what I meant to say. This is what I'm saying. And you can agree to disagree. What happens is when two people have two different opinions, they're both right in their heads, right?
Yeah.
And they're talking to each other. Because they are both right, but they have on two different sides, that talk becomes an argument, because an argument, and it will go on for as long as they get to a point where they agree that is right. So imagine that two of you are right. Will it ever end? It will never end. So the only way to end is when I say, you're right in your own way, I'm right in my own way. But my own doesn't have to be superior to yours, and yours doesn't have to be superior to mine. Is that ideal? Because at the end of the day, we all have different opinions. So when you're in a relationship, father to son, mother to daughter, mother to son, father to son, or authority to them, you are telling them what to do. That's different. Because you are telling them what to your subordinates. You're telling them X, Y, Z, do this. So they must respect that and do what you need to do. However, to get them to do what you do, you have to also learn the skills of persuasion to be able to get them to do what you want. Now, when it's two people that are on the same plane, which is husband and wife, that's where you have that look ahead. Because I'm coming, maybe you got married at 25, 30, 40, you've lived 40 years with your own ideas. Life has shown another person, maybe the guy is 39, 40, 50, he's lived his own set of ideas. But something brought you together. That thing that brought you together is a shared outcome, is a shared desire. If that desire is strong enough that you want to be together, then the onus is on two of you to find a way to understand this other person, right? And the other person understands that person. And when there is a deadlock, the question is, what is more important, the relationship or being understood and heard? So, if it's been understood, bring it down to communication. Honey, the truth is, this is how I feel. And communication isn't just speaking, it's finding the time, finding the words, using the tone that is right, and understanding that the outcome is your responsibility. Now, if you have shared desires, which is to be together, and you recognize that you are actually two different human beings, but you have common goals, you have to identify what I'm saying. How does it affect our common goals? If it's negative, okay, maybe there's no point going back and forth and telling them an argument never ends. So you stop. And communication is only by mouth. You can write. You can use a picture. You can find other ways. You can use a song or whatever it is to tell the person at a different time that this is what I made. The question is, do you want to? If you want to, you find a way around it.
That's getting me. I'm really thinking about that because I'm thinking about two people who want a relationship with each other, but the break in communication is one party is finding it difficult to know where to draw the line at compromise.
One party is finding it difficult to do what?
Draw the line where, okay, where do I compromise with this person concerning this particular thing, or how do I know that this is not just this person being controlling? Okay, for example, I want to use myself as an example. My husband likes straight hair. I
Bone
like
straight.
hair. Yeah, straight like this. Yeah, so I like big coily hair. Okay, so if we were to go out, I would choose my big curly hair any day over the straight hair. But I know that he loves straight hair. So it's easy for me, okay, because I realize that, okay, I also want to look good for him sometimes. So I have both straight and curly hair, right? But for some people, that's just him being controlling. Why would you? I mean, it's my body, it's the way I want to look. Why would you have such control over it? I don't have an issue with it because I understand where he's coming from. And on his own part, he would not have a haircut without asking my opinion. So that's the balance.
Well, that's the key. That's the key right there. The question is, how many people even understand themselves, first of all? Because a lot of us lack true self-esteem or confidence.
Okay.
Even me. But at the end of the day, when you are telling people, why is he asking me to do this? Why is he asking? Because you feel like, so what? What's control? Now, there are 31 days in a month, or maybe, okay, let's say 7 days in a month. I may not, I can't wear bone straight hair 7 days. I said, okay, this bone straight hair, it makes you happy. Yes. And when we are going out, I will wear it. In my own time, I will wear my curly hair. Because, it happens at me, even up to today, after 34 years of marriage. When I'm dressed up, and my husband says, that dress, look at us in bill. I say, I beg for today. Yeah? But that's if I don't want to change. I said, look, I actually like this because I want to feel like this and to feel like that. But the truth is, most times, they want to see us because they're the ones that are the first, there's a purveyors of whatever we have. So he has an idea, just like you have an idea of what you want to see with your guy now.
Yeah.
So why begrudge him that thing, or just don't disappear into him, right? I do it appease him. When I want, I do myself, I please myself too. Instead of you to be arguing, why now? Don't to quarrel, and then everybody will be upset, and they walk a different way, and you strain the relationship further. So it's not about. It's about deciding the important things to disagree over. What's control? If the control is from someone that you love, right? You call it control because it's asked to be that way. You have to understand that why are you asking me to do this? Is this why he'll be right? It's so that you look good the way he sees it. After all, who else is looking at you? It's somebody else you're dressing for.
Exactly.
So that's my own point. That's my own.
I'm going to let you go in a bit. Guys, send in your questions or your comments on communication and broken relationships. What are some of the effects of lack of communication in a relationship and how can we fix them? What are some of the effects of lack of communication in a relationship and how can we fix
Tension.
them?
Tension. You yourself know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tension.
You know how it is that maybe you've had a little tiff with your guy or even with your child, and everybody starts to solve. There's just the vibes, the energy is gone. There's tension. And even though I always say that when you find a conversation becoming very heated, right? And you see that there could be a breakdown in communication, you be the bigger man and stop. The tendency for us women is not to stop. Keep going on and on, just stop. The guy will be shocked. Just stop. No matter what he says, refuse. Remember that, why am I with this guy? Is he really the one? Remember all the good things about the guy. And just stop. Go back. Write down your grounds. Write down your anger, because there's a way of, the thing comes from your pen onto paper. And when you read it, trust me, it might sound very stupid to you, even you. So this, just stop, because my biggest philosophy in life is nothing spoil, which means last. So all of this, when the argument is going, just once I remember, nothing really spoil. I just calm down. The only thing that will spoil is ego, because you're upset that he won and I lost. When I just say, you know what, forget it. But if it's an issue you feel strongly about, just stop so it doesn't get to breakdown point. Write it down. You can write it in a letter. But once you pour it out, you'll feel better and you'll be free. Because when there's breakdown, I have a friend. She eventually divorced that guy. When they quarrel and they're lying on the bed, once his foot touches her foot, he will shout, move your leg, move your leg. I say, at least you are sleeping in the same room. if we pass, if they refuse to eat and go on. So it degenerates. Let's not allow misunderstandings degenerate. It starts with you being right, me being right, and also not we don't have to meet halfway. We have to know this is your point and this is my point. Is it spoiling other things? Is it major? Is it a major point? For example, you are asking, oh, I want more kids. I don't want kids. I want major that you should have settled before you I want, I don't want kids. Okay, why don't you want kids? Oh, because it's going to cost a lot of money. I have to understand. I can't afford. Okay, me, I want. What if I take the responsibility for paying this fees? Will you allow me have, okay, I don't like that you make too much noise in the house. Okay, make too much noise. When I have to do this, I'm going to move to another. You know what I mean? You should have something that before you, maybe you didn't discuss those things before you got married, which is rather sad, right? But if there was something that brought you together, if that thing is strong enough, it can overcome a lot of differences. If we understand and explain our positions using the right form of communication, and the timing is very important.
Wow, wow. I have so many questions born out of all your answers, but I have to let you go. So before I let you go, just one last question. There's so many things I want to ask you. I feel like, just taking advantage and keeping you here,
No,
but I
but
know I
you
cannot.
remember that you're one of those that want the free mentorship. This is the first set of mentees I'm going to have. You're going to get your email today. What we're going to be doing in that group
Wow.
is talking, you teaching me teaching you, telling me what your issues are, and helping each other because that's what matters. So that's what mentorship is. So you're going to have opportunity to spend more time with me as a
Oh, I
person
am
because
so looking forward to that.
I pour into you, you pour into others pour into others, and the ripple is created. That's life.
Okay, great. So you clocked 58 recently, and you're a woman of so many talents. Okay, so just give us 5 tips that you have learned, 5 life lessons you have learned in the last 50 years of your life that we can apply to ours.
50. I actually didn't think that through. But I don't know if I'm getting 5. I just read it off. One thing that's for sure is you can determine the outcome that you want and work towards it. One area for me has been what I look like. I didn't realize I was only 17 when I told myself I'm going to wear the same pair of jeans at 40. And in some ways, that has been in the back of my head. And so I've sought all the information to help me keep as I am and have acted on it. Now, I've also learned that when I got married, in my perception was that his money is our money, right? My money is my money. You know what I did? I wasn't struggling to make money for myself. And I was lucky he had the money. But it got to a point where that didn't work. What I've learned is your money is your money. His money is his money. Our money is your money and my money. And people determining what to do. So you must work for your money and earn it. And make sure that even if it's 10 naira, I'm bringing you 20 naira, or maybe we need 50 naira and I want to bring in 10. That's one thing I've learned because it's important for our self esteem that we have that confidence in ourselves. And our confidence is not in what we attach, right? That's number 3. Our confidence is not in what we attach, it's what comes out of here to go out. When you put something, you chew it and you bring it out. You see, the hair you have, right? It gives you a certain feeling. That's why you wear it. Hopefully, the feeling is not because people are going to admire you. Because if people don't admire you, you'll be sad, right? But if the hair is will make you feel good and make you step right and confident enough to do what you want to do, then you achieve more. So we should go from outside in. It's more important than inside out. Number 3. Number 4, we are only as good as the anchor that we have. What are you anchored on? What are you centered on? What drives you? What's your anchor? I have a series of nuggets coming out soon that I'm going to release in October. Daily nuggets for today's woman, where there'll be little things that you will learn. One of the issues I addressed is anchor is the most important thing in our life. On what are you anchored? What is driving? You know, life is like us being at sea. And if you get to a port, if you don't have anchor that will drop you and fit you well, you will be doing like this. And there are different ports and different seasons in our life. So what's your anchor? My anchor has always been God. And at different points, it's either grown bigger and it's grown bigger and bigger and I've grown smaller. And then the fifth thing is what you can't change, right? You must leave. What you can't change, you must leave. It's important, otherwise you're going to be knocking your head against the wall, and you'll be unhappy, and you won't encouraged to try other things. Once you hit a wall, either go around it, go over it, don't keep knocking at it. Right? That's it.
Wow. Okay. Joseph Bemisola, you're asking your question pretty late, and so this why would you do the honors or
What's the question?
the question is how do you display submissions in a relationship? And that's the only question we're
I
taking.
am not one of those that uses the word submission. There's nothing like submission. We both okay. If we have to use it, two people have to submit. One at this time, the other at the other. But I believe every ship has to have one captain. Somebody's piloting it. And as a Christian and with knowledge, I do know that the man is the captain of the ship. But at the same time, if God knew that man could do this ship alone, he would have made woman. He made woman. So what I feel, what I have seen, and what I have practiced in my life is, yes, the box stops on this table, but sometimes the captain you have to rest. Then the second in command will take over. So when we look at submission, we always look at it that at this point in time, who should be doing what? Who should be stepping down? And it depends on what we want to achieve. What we want to achieve here, for example, two people are working and it's tough and they have to, one person has to stay home while they're raising kids. If my salary is more, I don't see why my husband should say quit to go and look after children. Instead, he will say, okay, this is your salary. Let me quit and be at home if somebody has to be home, or let me do a job from home and we hire two nannies with this your big salary. Okay? But we need your salary. But most times, the ego in a guy will make him not want to say that. Imagine if your brother now say, I dey work from house, make my wife do. Waiting you go talk, people go the cause. So there has to be a strong man and also a strong woman who's not going to take that as an advantage to begin to talk down at her husband and disrespect him. So everybody seeks respect, men more than women, because that's what fuels them. For us, just whisper sweet nothing into our ear and rub our back and we're happy. For men, just hail it. Okay, you are this, and you have him eating from your mouth. So I don't think submission is one sided. It's both
It's a
parties.
message I think we need to preach loud and clear because a lot of people have been preaching that message really wrongly. And even the Bible says submit one to another.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you just explain it the way Pastor Sam kind of explains it. There's a place of submission even from the man where he
Absolutely.
has to submit to his wife. There are areas that you need to be submissive to your
Yeah.
wife. So we need to let Auntie Adesuwa go. We're having more questions coming in now. Guys, what's going on? I've been asking for this question since the beginning.
Maybe
Okay,
it's network.
one last question, Auntie Adesuwa. She's been on the show and she's one of your admirers.
Okay, this is a female. The other one was a guy. How do you separate your family life from work? They're two. You see, it's like being a Christian or whatever it is you profess. It doesn't change. Adesuwa is the same at home and at work. In terms of Adesuwa remains Adesuwa. But when I enter the church, there's certain things I must do: silence, observe, do this, do that. When I'm outside of the church, I'm still a Christian, but I'm not singing praise the Lord, you know, outside of doing other things, but I'm still a Christian. So we don't have to forget ourselves, whatever the place we are in. We are still who we are, right? But at home, it's playing out in a different way. What is your work? What are people expecting from you, right? What are you supposed to do? Do it. At work is a different thing. So I don't like drop but it's just like when I enter the house, at work I can't wear shorts, except I'm on location. At home I can wear shorts and move around. But I'm still me. At home, when my kids were younger, I have to make sure that they are eating, I have to make sure they've done things, I have to make sure my cook has done what they should do. At work, I do what I should. So sometimes, especially now, right now, do you know my office? This is my office, and it's on my dining. My cook was just walking in to come and set the table. I said no. So, but once work is over, I shift my computer to one side and we eat here. So even at home, you may have to do work, but we know it's work. You enter work mode wherever it is now. We are at home, enter home mode, but it means you don't disappear to anyone. Do the two with the same passion. Do it because what is we should all adopt the theology of excellence here or here. Excellent.
Wow, thank you.
Hey,
Thank you
fire.
so much, Auntie Adesuwa. I'm kind of a fast talker, so when I pronounce your name, it's because you know.
To help you with that, all you need to do is find out what the syllables are. My name has five syllables. Adesuwa, actually for Adesuwa. Adesuwa.
Thank you for this awesome time. I've learned a lot, and I know that I'm still gonna learn a lot more from you. I'm happy that finally we got to do this. We've been trying to get this done for months, and so
And I
finally,
must
I'm
say,
grateful.
I must say well done to you because it's not easy to start a new life and to start to do things all over again. And I do know, and what I will tell you is that nothing is forever. The one of the problems that we have now is that people want to just go from here to here, right? Just so long as you know where you're going. 5 years I want to be there. This is the plan, and just cut yourself some slack. People must learn to cut the slack. They're working. Cut yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself, and don't keep looking at the Joneses.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful. Thank you everyone for joining us on Gist with Essay today. Until next time, remember, stay happy, stay positive, stay mended. Bye everyone.